Well, hello. You're on another segment of Talk and Sip, and I'm here with a panel of people who got something to say. Uh, Tonight's topic is sweeping out your own front door. So this was the situation. So this person called their boyfriend and was like, "Where you at?" And they said, "I'm on 20." Well, they didn't say specifically where they were. They just said they were on 20. So they assumed that they were on going to Shreveport on 20 and not headed to Dallas. Well, they never asked, well, where you going? They just said, where you at? They just said on 20. So then the friend calls in and said, hey, where is so-and-so? And then she was like, oh, I don't know. They said they on 20. And she thought it was very strange that she didn't know exactly where he was. And so she was like, well, are you Facebook friends with him? And she was like, no. So she went, looked it up, and told her where he was. Now, at the same time, she didn't care. But then he, on the other hand, said, well, she needs to ask questions. And he said that's dysfunctional because she didn't ask questions. So do y'all think that's dysfunctional? Because she didn't ask the question of where you at specifically. She just said, where are you? And they said on 20. So me being the person, if you asking me where I'm at, I'm saying I'm on 20, I'm going to go ahead and disclose more information. Like, I'm on 20 headed to Dallas. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, I wasn't trying to hide anything. She just never asked me where I was going.
Well, in my opinion, I feel that if first of all, you have to know who you're dealing with. If you know your person is more detailed and want more thorough information, then yes, speak that, or whomever you're talking to. It's all about knowing who you're dealing with. Some people, they have to also ask more direct questions because technically the question was answered.
Right.
So it just depends on how the other person may receive it. So if they want more detail and more thoroughness, then the question needs to be more detailed and more direct. So it just depends on who you're talking to, and you know how to answer that question. Because sometimes you can ask a question like, "Where you at?" You may say, "Okay, I'm on I-20 going to Dallas." I'm like, "Girl, I didn't ask you all that." So some people may say that's too much information. You could have just say,
Yes.
"I'm on 20." I ain't gotta. It might not be my business to know which direction you're going.
Right. Well, that's how she
So
feels. Like, well, it ain't none of my business. Like, I don't care. Like, but then the friend just, you know, put it in her mind to go and check and see where he was. So to tell her, like, hey, he in Dallas. And it's just like, sometimes you need to like mind your own business.
yeah,
You
I
starting
mean,
a problem that ain't even really there, you know?
exactly, because if she really wanted to know after that, after he said I'm on 20, then she could have said, okay, on 20 where? Then she could have went. She could have did her own digging. She didn't ask no. She didn't have to get the friend, or the friend didn't have to do any more digging. She could have did her own digging. If she wanted to know more, she could ask, okay, where at on 20? Which way are you? Then she could have went into the second phase of wanting more information.
Right. But like, and again, she told like, she was like, I don't know. And the friend thought it was strange that she didn't know where her man was. And it's just like, I don't ask them type of questions because it's not necessary. But then they feel like because she doesn't ask questions, that's dysfunctional. And I don't see, I mean, I think like if you're gonna ask all these questions, some guys gonna get offended by it. Be like, why you asking me all these police questions? Like, dang, I can't leave the house without you asking me this or asking me
Yeah,
that.
asking all them questions.
Yeah. So
Why
it's
you
like,
asking all them questions, making statements, assume? But no, no, exactly. She needs to that's her relationship. And if it's not dysfunctional for him and her, then her friends shouldn't. If that's what worked for them, that's what worked for them. And what may work for somebody else may not work for the next person. So that doesn't mean it's dysfunction. That's just maybe their line of communication.
yeah, but
And they
see, the
may have an
problem
understanding.
was like when the question came up, then he was like, well, that's dysfunctional because you should have asked me where I was, instead of you. Well, she didn't assume, she assumed that he was headed to Shreveport because he said he was on 20. So, you know, based on his where he was, she was like, oh, okay, well, he's headed to Shreveport. But when she brought it to his attention that this person said, oh, you was in Dallas, well, he felt like she was dysfunctional for not even asking questions. Like, you should be asking me questions about, where I'm at, that's open communication. But I mean, some guys like thinking that, that's just too much information. Like, why you need to know where I'm at, where I'm going, who I'm with, And then his thing is, if we a couple and we're supposed to be one, then I don't see a problem with, us asking each other those type of questions.
Okay, well, if he feel that way too, and then he feel like it's dysfunctional communication, then he could have communicated, I'm on 20 in Dallas. I mean, he can also pick up the slack where there's more, it could be more meaningful for than her. Maybe she don't feel comfortable asking that question. Maybe he got to open up the gateway for her to let her know it's okay to ask me these things.
Yeah, but she's like, basically, she don't care. Like, if you want me to know, you'll tell me. But if you don't, I'm not gonna ask those questions.
Well, they all they both dysfunctional. They both dysfunctional, I guess, and they just don't need to be together. That's kind of, I don't know.
Well, they just said it's unnecessary stress they ain't even trying to deal with. So why ask questions if you don't want, I don't want no stress behind it. So I ain't asking no questions. That's gonna get me uh wasted energy.
Hmm. They just need to talk, and they need to get a line of communication open and figure out what's dysfunctional and functional in their
But I don't
situation
even
or
think it would have
relationship.
been a raised the question if the friend never butted in and tried to find this man. I mean, she ain't even trying to find where he is. She trying to figure out where her man is that really ain't none of her business. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
How are y'all?
Hi. Hello.
What do y'all think about people minding their business and other people's relationships?
Well, I got a question about the scenario that you gave. And my thing was, how did the other friend know what direction he was headed in?
She looked him up on Facebook and seen where he
Because,
was because she wasn't friends. The girlfriend isn't friends with him on Facebook. So she took it upon herself
figure
to
out where
go
he
on
is.
his page to see where he was.
So, yeah, that makes me feel like, you know what I'm saying? You're keeping tabs on him independently anyway. And not operating as a friend.
So you're asking about sticking your nose into other people's relationships?
Well, that particular one, but just in general. Uh,
Well, my opinion for that is sometimes, like when it's your friends or your family, sometimes, when you tend to go and vent to your friends and family, they feel very opinionated to tell you what they think that you should or should not do in regards to your relationship. So that could be a little tricky too. And sometimes it can cause conflict and it can do more harm than help, but then sometimes it can actually do more helpful than the other half. And then sometimes I think that it's a lot of things that you should just keep to yourself, especially if you have a toxic or wishy-washy relationship, because if you go run to your friends and family and tell them all the bad and the good, they're going to start looking at you different on your decisions that you make in regards to the bad stuff. And then that can
Right.
also cause more issues with you and your spouse, later on down the line, because now they could be looking at him or her different, and now have an opinion about if they like them or not, or if they think they're good enough for you and things like that. So it can lose lack of respect for your significant other. And then also it can cause issues inside your relationship, because if your spouse don't have nobody to vent to but you do, they can feel jealous, they can feel like they don't have nobody, and they can just be straight out like, oh, you running our business to everybody else, and that could be an issue. And things like that can go really left and cause more issues in the relationship, such as mental or physical or verbal abuse that can come along with it. So as we get older, I think it's more so like, don't speak about the bad unless you're ready to make a change. Because if you keep running to your friends and family telling them about the bad, and then you tell them about the good, eventually they're going to just start looking at you like you crazy. And then you and your friends and family can actually start having arguments, and not being in each other's good grace, because they don't like the decisions that you're making. And even though they're coming from a good place, they don't think that you should be where you're at, or that you should be making the decisions that you're making. So now you didn't got yourself into a situation where home is not as happy as it should be, but then at the same time, your friends or family that you involved into your situation, now you guys are doing a lot of this with each other, and that can also end up being drama there too as well. So now you have nowhere to turn. So unless you're ready to make a change with any of the situations that you're so frustrated with, whether it's good or bad, I really wouldn't say it's okay to just go telling your friends and family, especially if you're not ready to make a change and you're just like, oh, he smacked me across the face, but I'm not ready to leave. Like, your family gonna think you're stupid. You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, girl, no, leave. You know what I mean? Like, it's so
Yeah.
many
But
different
then,
things.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
put yourself in that situation, and then at the end of the day, she gonna still be, with that person, or he's still
or
gonna
if you
be
have
with.
brothers who are like, oh, okay, we're gonna go handle him, and then that's a problem. You know what I mean? So again, you really shouldn't be taking your business outside of your household and putting
Right,
it into the streets or with friends or families, unless you're ready for an action to be done once you open your mouth,
right,
just to keep the peace and to keep everybody blood pressure down.
right. Yeah, I agree with that for sure, 100%. But yeah, this person, I mean, I don't think they just really have a conversation uh, about what's going on in their relationship. I just think that she's just a word so and so at, and then she just took it upon herself to go and investigate. And
Hmm.
I'm not sure, why, but when I didn't ask you to, or it's like, or give you that feeling of, oh, I don't know where he is, but girl, just how sometimes we like, I don't know where he is, but if he better not be here or he better not be there, something like that. But that wasn't the case. But um, I don't understand why she took it upon herself to, go go the extra mile to find out where he was at. Unless,
And that's why I say I feel like she had secret motive. Dude, you've been done checking where this man was at. You've been
yeah,
looking. Whether you can do two parts of the story, you could want your homegirl's boyfriend or dude or whatever the case may be, or you could feel, like your friend deserves better. But either way, for you to get somebody ETA that fast on Facebook, knowing where he is driving down the street, that's not your first go at this.
yeah,
it's something that you do frequently, and then that should be addressed. But a woman who sometimes don't want to ask questions, sometimes don't want to know the truth, and it's got to be real. Some people just don't want to know the truth. Hopefully she's, aware enough to say, or to start asking them questions. So I'm hungry. How was you able to locate him? How was you able to find him? And how was you able to do so quickly to where you can come back and report to me?
Yeah.
To me, that's a problem. That's something that I would address and check.
So like she has some ulterior motive for herself. Maybe she wanted for herself. Sometimes that happens. Like you try to tell dirt on somebody just so you can, especially if you tell, sometimes, especially if you tell females, oh, my man, he treated me this, he doing this for me, he doing that for me. And then they're like, okay, I ain't getting that. So, well, let me see what I can do to break this
And
up
that's
so I can get it.
and that's a lot of downfalls about a lot of people. Women, we will deal with different men, and we will deal with the same man. We will have the same man in common. But just because we deal with the same man don't mean that we experience the same type of man. Just like with women. Women, we may deal with the same God, but we don't get the same God because we bring out different versions of that man, good, bad, and ugly.
True.
So a lot of people have that misconception. Oh, because he treats her like this. Oh, because she treats him like this. They're gonna do the same thing for me. That's not guaranteed. That's usually never guaranteed because it depends on what you bring to the table, and what they're looking for at that time.
Right.
Some men treat girls that are pretty like superstars just because they wanted a supermodel at that time. But then this girl, if you feel like don't look like that, will get even better treatment because he now needs something real because he done lost everything that he had. You never know what version of a person that you're going to get.
Right.
So I definitely look at it at that point as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree with that too. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna treat. I mean, of course, we're different anyway. We're not, the same. You're gonna do something different than what I would do. Uh, so yeah, definitely.
Did you have another scenario for us?
Do I have another scenario?
Yeah.
No, that was just our main one. Like, let me go to questions and see what we got. Yeah, who Red said just I think whatever goes on in your floor wall stay in your four walls. Uh-oh. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, I'm quite sure y'all have experienced that in your personal life, one time or another, right?
Experience what?
I mean, somebody, butting in your business, or even just telling people your business and seeing like the bad outcome of it, or
Mine has been more towards the people trying to get what you got, and it's always funnier when it gets shut down by a different party. Like when it gets shut down by the other party, you ain't gotta say nothing. I think that's probably like my favorite experience of it.
yeah, I don't know where I can't call them here.
What was the title of Sweeping Around Your Own Front Door? What was that about?
I'm sorry, what you say?
What was already discussed about sweeping around your own front door? Was that the concept?
Oh, well, that was the scenario of like, a reason why, because, they were like, if she was never even, meddling in their business in the first place, it probably never would have been an issue, you know, but she wasn't minding her business. She just took it upon herself to find out information that didn't even have nothing to do with her. and which caused them to have like a disagreement or a discussion. So that was the scenario of that.
Okay.
And to the point to where they was like, well, it's dysfunctional, and really arguing the point that I think he basically blamed her. It's your fault for not even asking me where I was at. But me personally, I said, well, if it was me and they asked me if I was on 20, I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm on 20 headed to Dallas. I'm just gonna give her the information anyway, because I don't have nothing to hide. And then their thing was, I don't have nothing to hide. It's just that she didn't ask me. So, and he was like, well, she should ask more questions. That's dysfunctional that you don't ask questions. And she just said, I don't care. It's no big deal. She
The
don't
end
think
of the day, she asked what she wanted to know, and he answered it. And at the same time, though, you do have to also take in consideration of, like I said earlier, kind of what you're asking. So be mindful of what you're asking, and like Miss Polka Speaks said, sometimes you don't want to know. So she asked what she wanted to know. He answered directly. Now, my thing is this: what made her go say something to the other friend about
the
that
other
anyway?
friend was out. They called her. She didn't say nothing to the other friend. She just
Oh,
asked
okay.
where they were, and
Oh,
she
okay.
just said, "Oh, I'm 20." And then she was like, "Well, that's strange that you don't know exactly where he's at." So
Yeah,
she
that
took
was
it upon
reaching. She
herself to
needs to
go
stay
find
in.
out where he was.
No,
Hmm?
yeah, she needs to stay in her lane.
Yeah.
The friend needs to stay in her lane. That she was on I-30 and they was on 20. She needs to stay on 30 and they was on 20, doing them due diligently, expeditiously. She needs to stay in her lane. So yeah, she overstepped her boundaries a little bit, because she wasn't asked to do anything anyway. So she was reaching.
Sharpshooter said, keep people out your business. But yeah. Well, that is that. But I agree with y'all though. And that's just a conversation between you and your mate and who you're dealing with, to, have those conversations, like you said, Kanisha, up front, and what you want for your relationship and what you don't want for your relationship. So are all y'all married on here? Well, I know Kanisha not. Hope Speaks. Are you married?
No.
She got her mic off. You on mute. Bambi, are you married? Oh, they're all on silent. Well, this is going to conclude our topic for tonight.
We gotta do this again. When we coming back?
Next Wednesday.
Okay, let me know.
You gonna be ready?
I'll be ready.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all coming on